I'm playing a game of Patrol. Originally it comes in a flat pack. I didn't get that. It's quite an old game. I got it unpunched, but without a flat pack you get terrain effects charts. You get a combat chart, double-sided. You get the counters, and then you get these map sheets. There's 6 map sheets. They're single-sided, but they can be configured in different configurations depending on the scenario you're playing. I'm playing a reconnaissance scenario. So the scenarios, it's a James Dunnigan design, and similar to some of his other similar to the old SPI designs, it's kind of like designed as a simulation kit. So you get generic combat types. So you have meeting of patrols, reconnaissance, ambush, and raid, and then you have a whole list of orders of battle. So if you've, let's have a look here. So it looks like Eastern Front, Order of Battle, World War II, Pacific Theatre, Order of Battle, Almack Valley, where's that? Pork Chop Hill, so that's 1953, all the way up to here, 1976. So that was this was published in 1974. So that's a hypothetical, and it even goes back to First World War, Orders of Battle. So you can use any of these Orders of Battle for the generic scenario types. I've chosen this one, Between the Wars. It's Tankzam, that's a place, March 1917. It's between the Afghanistanis and the, I forget, but they're sort of taking advantage of the chaos of the First World War. So Pakistan and Afghanistan fighting for border control. Now you can see the patrol situation goes like that. You have 12 rifle fellows, bolt actions, recon situation, which is what I'm doing, same, plus a pillbox. And you can do raid or ambush scenarios. The assault scenario has the order of battle like this. Some of them say that can do the patrol, but they don't offer anything for the other situations. So that's basically how it goes, and you get a little historical thing on each one. So the Pathan tribesmen took the opportunity to stir up trouble along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, so they're fighting the Mazur tribe. So essentially, so I set up these according to the reconnaissance. You can set it up however you like. These are just suggested configurations, and you have so one group had to set up in one map section. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he had set up in one of these secretly. Sets up his pillbox. It's in here somewhere. I'm not going to tell you exactly, and secretly plotted where all his fellows were set up. So at the start of the game, this fellow has a random entrance, and his entrance happened to be there. Then within 6 turns, he has to send at least one man, maybe his point man, into the other fellow's setup. They're looking for things, so obviously that the pillbox is kind of like their target, and then you play it from there. Originally I plotted them to move around here because I thought if they're going to go in this hex, they want to avoid this kind of heavy terrain and come around here. But because you get, again with the generic type thing, what you have 4 types of terrain: clear, rough 1, rough 2, and then slopes. But the terrain can be open, in which case the movement point and the defensive value is different. It could be mixed, it could be closed, and then there's craters, smoke and pillboxes, which are the same for all terrain. We're in closed terrain, so this is rocky mountainous country. So it's the worst terrain, and it takes 2 movement points to go through one clear hex. Hence these fellows couldn't make it all the way around here and come round in this sort of easier section, because you figure the pillbox is going to be somewhere down the bottom here, as far away as possible from any of the possible entrances. Would be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 points, and then everyone has a random exit point. Their random exit point is there, and their random exit point is here, I think. And that's important because you have, each unit is an individual fellow. This guy's gone prone. Sorry about the shadow. Let's take it around here. So this guy's prone at the moment. He would stand up like that. You see they've all got a name, so his name is, can't even read that from here, Nazo. And if your fellow's wounded, then you just use another chit. This is prone wounded, and then you have standing wounded. Another combat effect, you have combat effects basically wounded, incapacitated, which is essentially out of action, but he could be carried off by one of his fellows, and then there's actually killed. This fellow, the point man, of course, is dead. Poor old Acker. So you can be standing, prone, and you can have 3. You can be fine, wounded, incapacitated, or dead. It's important if your guy's incapacitated, you can carry him off, because you get points for carrying your fellows off, because essentially all the combats are patrols, so you have sort of, you may have an objective to do, like reconnaissance, but you also want to get as many men back. You know, this isn't all out fighting, it's not take that hill at all costs. So you have to balance preservation against obtaining your objectives. And then that's another factor in the game. Everybody has a preservation level. These fellows have more men, but these fellows have a better preservation level. Every time somebody's wounded, incapacitated, or killed, you draw a random chit which are numbered from 1 to 10, and there's sort of several of each. And then you add them all together. If it reaches your preservation level, which I think is for these is 25 and for these is 15, then your guys go, right, let's Scarpa. And then you need to get to your exit point. Then another thing that happens is a panic. What I'm on contact turn +2 at the moment, so you found me here about to do the plotting. Now the rules are a bit strange in that there's I've noticed a couple of mistakes in references in there, but it's not a big deal. But one thing they says, use the plotting sheet, and they give you the example of the plotting sheet. You don't get these plotting sheets in the game, and I checked on the web and so forth. They don't come in the game. So, but fortunately, someone on Board Game Geek had posted these on the Sniper, because this is a brother game to Sniper, which came before. So this plotting sheet, I presume, came in the Sniper game, and it's the same as the one they illustrate in the rules for Patrol. So I printed out some, and I mean, you could just use a scrap piece of paper. I started with a scrap piece of paper. That was the possible setups, but this just is kind of like easier and tidier. So I'm about to plot the movement, so it's pre-plotted, and you might think, oh, that's a drag, and you know, I've got one side's got 12 guys to do, another side's got 18 guys to do, but it actually goes quite quickly, because you know, a lot of guys are just going to be direct fire, and that takes you have 10 movement points. That takes all their movement for that turn. The other guys are going to be moving, especially in this terrain, it's quite heavy, they don't move that fast. Also, a lot of my guys are prone, and when you're prone you can only move 1 hex. Again, that's your whole turn, so you're only writing down one sort of annotation for each guy, and you can either write down the actual hex number, or you can write down it's going direction A and you're firing at fellow B, for example. So there's not a whole lot of writing to do. You have quite a few choices of what things to do, but the game actually includes tanks and APCs, which I'm not going to get to, I don't think, and so a lot of those orders are for that. So I have to do the plotting, and then after the plotting we check for panic. Now everybody has a panic level. You have 10 chits, and if your panic level's 40, you take 4 chits, and then the number on one of those chits, you match that up to the hex grid, and if it equals the number at the end of your hex, last number on your hex, then that fellow panics. Okay, and essentially he would random move if he's moving. If he's doing anything else, he does nothing that turn. So so the preservation levels vary and the panic levels vary. These guys, there's more guys, the preservation levels lower and they panic more frequently. So these are more seasoned, but these are the guys who have to do something. These are the defenders. And so essentially that's how the game goes. I'll do some plotting and then show you what I've done. Okay, so I've done the plotting. What this means is that this fellow here is going to stand erect. That takes him 5 movement points. Then the next movement points he moves forwards A, and he loses 1 there. That's fellow A. Well, it doesn't really, that's this guy, so he's running up here. Essentially, all these guys are revealed as soon as they move or fire, and there's one guy who's in the pillbox still hidden, and the other guys are moving up, and as many of my men along the front line as possible are preparing grenades. So you got moves, stand up, and move, and PP means they go prone. So he stands up, he moves, and then he falls prone as soon as he's finished moving. Some guys are getting off quick fire shots, so you have direct fire, which takes up, none of mine are doing direct fire, which takes all your movement points. Quick fire, you get half strength. When it takes half your movement points, then these 3 guys can prepare grenades. So prepare grenade, prepare grenade, prepare grenade. Oh, hang on, this guy should be throwing grenade. Who's he? That's K. Yeah, there you go. He's going to throw his grenade. I don't know how many points that takes. That takes 5 movement points. Okay, so he can do something for the rest. He can prepare another grenade. Okay, so that only took, what, 3 or 4 minutes, and now I'll do the other fellows. Okay, that only took 1 or 2 minutes. There's only 12 guys. So there's a lot of them quick firing, and this is the man who they're firing at. So essentially these guys, even the wounded guy, they're firing at these 2. He's incapacitated. The wounded guy can't prepare a grenade, but the other 3 guys quick firing, then preparing grenades after. And the fellows here, 1 or 2 of them are moving forward. The others are all, there's one here who's already got a grenade prepared underneath this fellow, and the others are preparing grenades and then ready to throw them. You cannot prepare a grenade and throw it in the same turn because the turn sequence doesn't work like that. So we've finished the plotting. Now we do the panic determination. Like I said, the greens have a panic, Team Alpha have a panic level of 20%. So 2 and 3 are going to panic. The guys at Hex is ending in 2 and 3, and Bravo team, these 10 fellows, guys ending these hexes will panic. I'll sort that out. Okay, so the greens were lucky, they had low hex numbers up here, so none of them panicked. And the tans, as per average, they're getting sort of 4 or 5 men panicking each turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we go to the combat resolution phase, the initial posture. So some men, you might have said, we're going to drop down. Some of my men are standing erect. I should do that now. Okay, so 2 of the tans went erect, they stood up. This one was supposed to, but he's panicking, so he's hugging the ground. Next would be hand-to-hand combat resolution. We don't have any of that. Now we have direct fire. Then we have quick fire, and we have hand grenades thrown. These are all counted as happening simultaneously. And after that we get movement. After movement, we have recuperation from stuns, which happens when your grenade hits nearby for the turn before. Then we resolve the grenades. And then we have various maintenance things like rearming grenades. So arming other weapons and stuff like that, resolving smoke, drift, and so forth. Now on the Tan side, he was going to quickfire, he was going to quickfire, and he was going to quickfire, and then they were all preparing grenades. He's panicking, so we won't resolve his. Now this fellow here, standard rifle, bolt action against, he's going against C, I believe, already wounded man, yes. Should have gone against B, I think, but never mind. So it's a prone man in this closed terrain, has a defensive 20, defensive multiple of 20. He's not moving, so there's no multiple from his movement. And at the range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that gun has a strength of 10. So that's a 2-to-1 attack, which is too low. You can have your attack can be at a ratio of 1-to-1 or higher. So that will be of no effect. This fellow's in the clear, so he's got 8 defense multiple. Base of 1, terrain, you multiply for terrain, you multiply for movement. So that's a 1-to-1 attack. Roll a 1, and that's a kill. So he is killed. Second fellow killed. We immediately add a preservation chit. So no, that's a 4, that's quite high. So now the greens have gone up to a total of, you can't see that all the way over there, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 25, I think. So they're almost a third of the way towards their Scarpa total. Okay, now S, he's quick firing over at D there. So that will be the same situation, 1-to-1 attack. Should let you have a look. Here's the multiples, so bolt action rifle, 1 to 5 hexes, it's 21, 10, 6 to 10 hexes, and so forth. Then, like I said, you go with the terrain multiple, and here on closed terrain in the clear, you have a prone guy has a multiple of 8, erect only of. Okay, I think I've taken this game as far as I feel like going with it. I finished the last game that was the reconnaissance mission. I can't remember the result of that now off the top of my head. But anyway, I started a meeting a patrols mission with forces that both had the same preservation and the same panic levels. So essentially we've got sort of equal forces, and with the random startup, these Tan fellows, they're Austro-Hungarians, they start on this board edge, and you have to work out a patrol to sort of patrol the whole thing. So they started going around here, and their exit edge is this one. So they were going that direction. These fellows came on here, and they were basically patrolling that direction to go off that side. And their point men met each other. These are Russian forces in the First World War. The point men met about here and here and started sniping at each other inconclusively. Then the rest of these fellows quickly came on. Some of them took cover here, some took cover here, and some started moving up here. And these fellows were filing up here. They all sort of moved over this direction, because basically you want to head off the board with as many men surviving whilst taking out a few casualties from the opponent, or you might have a full-on stand-down firefight, and it's just last man standing essentially. But this being patrol, they want to get back to base, so after the contact I think happened on about the 4th turn, but I've played 4 turns since contact, and basically we've come down to this. We've got 3 dead of the Austro-Hungarians, 1 dead of the Russians, and then these are for incapacitated or wounded fellows. They've reached over half their preservation level, and they're getting about the same. They're getting there as well. So they're both kind of viable going concerns, but they've both decided they want to get out, they want to bug out. So these guys are trying to move around here, and these guys are trying to work out how to move around here. And we've reached the point where sorry about my shadow, you can't see anything of that, people quickly loaded up rifle grenades, because hand grenades only have a range of 10 hexes, rifle grenades have a range of 20. So it's a 50% chance of loading it each time you try, but which I forgot first off. So they each had a bunch first off. And so we got a load of stuns and incapacitated there. And then similarly with the exchange, we have lots of stuns and an incapacitated there. And some of the other markers you can see, for example, well, these guys have got grenades underneath them, so they're holding grenades, but it's too far to throw them. This guy's unarmed, he's launched his rifle grenade. And what have we got here? Yeah, he's got a rifle grenade prepared. And he's got a rifle grenade prepared. But essentially it's kind of like, I've sort of had enough of the game, because I've basically figured out that the way that the firearm results table works, and because 1 to 3 to 5 to 1, I mean 1 to 1 through to 5 to 1 is the same table, and it's basically a 50% chance of causing a wound or casualty, and a 1 in 3 chance of incapacitated or killed. You're basically out of the game and running. And so basically every attack is either on that table, or it's not a viable attack. And so every attack's just got 50% chance of succeeding. So I've come down to it, and I'm thinking we could sit here trading shots, and it's just kind of who's luckiest sooner. Or on the other hand, we could just all stand up and run, and we got 50% chance of getting through. The other thing is that with the panic levels, essentially what happens if one bunch, like this bunch, this Lasker, they were unlucky, 4 of their men were panicked, and only 1 of this side were panicked, because it's just a random thing, even though these 2 fellows are on the same panic level. So that was random. But the combat, because of that, the huge span of the ratios is mostly it's just random. You cannot really figure to get a 6 to 1 attack. That's just really if a grenade lands bang on top of someone's head, essentially. What else? So yeah, basically it kind of, what it reminds me of is Combat Commander Europe. I don't know about the other ones. I've only got Combat Commander Europe, in that it's very kind of like chaotic. And in Combat Commander Europe, that can be fun, because you're kind of flipping cards, moving men around, and it all goes sort of quite rapidly. But here, mechanically, because you have to write out this sheet. I mean, I've got a wipe off pen eventually for this game. That makes it a lot quicker, but still, you know, it's more tedious than Combat Commander Europe. So up against that, I wouldn't recommend this. On the other hand, what I found with it is that it's, although I wouldn't say it's fun, it's been addictive, in that I keep playing one more turn, I keep planning one more turn to see what's going to happen. And so in another way, it reminds me of these games that they're still sort of popular on the periphery. You don't see much chat about them on Board Game Geek or anything like that, or the Game Box, as far as I know. But they're particularly like, I can't remember exactly what they're called. They're kind of like roll and chart games. Often they're sports games, so you're just kind of like, it's a bit like B-17, where you roll and you see what happens, and it's kind of like an adventure, a randomized adventure. So you have sort of moments of tension, but you don't have so much control over it. It depends on things outside your control happening. So with this one, for example, you know, I'm kind of like thinking, okay, these guys are going to run, then they'll try and load up some rifle grenades. pot them off while these guys take their chance to run, and can we get off this edge in turn before they do it? And then these guys are doing something similar, but so it's that addictive thing of like, okay, I'll plan that one, see if that works, but at the end of the day, it's not really fun because it feels all out of my control. 50% chance you're going to lose your guy, or you don't, and it doesn't really feel like you can prepare special shots, to increase your chance, or take aim with take longer and things like that. You just don't really have decisions to make. You fire or not, and 50% chance you succeed or not. So that's kind of my review of the game. On the other hand, it does present lots of interesting situations. I like you have the patrol situation. I did the reconnaissance situation. There's also a raid and an ambush situation. They're interesting situations because you sort of pre-plot movement. You don't know where you're going to meet. So again, there's sort of tension. It's not really in your control, but it presents interesting situations. Or with the others, you have like hidden units and so forth. And then along with that, there's lots of interesting orders of battle. They're very kind of scanty. You just have generic riflemen. I didn't try some of the later ones where you have machine guns and so forth. I suppose that's where it might get more interesting, where you're bringing in more weapon systems, so you've got more factors to work with. But to be honest, I don't feel it's going to be worth it for me with the fun factor. It's just still a bit too sort of grey a game for me when there's so much else that I can get into. So I'm going to call it a day for Patrol for me for now, and I'll be putting this game up for sale or trade. But I'm glad I tried it. I really like trying these old games, seeing where our hobby has come from, and especially these Donegan designs. I find him an interesting guy because he wanted to do studies, from what I can tell. So he presents a study, and so it's not necessarily a fun game because it's probably depicting quite well the chaotic nature of a random patrol meeting engagement like this. The tensions in if you're interested in the story of your chits, and whereby I am in this chart game I've got called, I think it's Wings Over Europe, which is where you're controlling your World War One squadrons of aircraft. That I kind of enjoy. It's just an administrative game. This one I'm not really so interested.